So Trump has had to send the National Guard into Washington, D.C. to restore law and order. And of course, leftists have a problem with it. I don't understand for the life of me why it is that anytime Trump does something that's demonstrably good, that even benefits the lives of your average leftists, they just have to. They have to stand up against it. We literally have videos of people who are organized by this group called Free DC Project, who are out and about in the streets of DC, banging pots and pans together every night at 8 p.m. in order to show how much they are displeased with having the National Guard there to try to clean up the city. This is the level of TDS or liberal insanity that we've gotten to. We can't even clean up our streets without leftists literally advocating for the continuation of violent crime. Many leftists will tell you, oh, these cities aren't that bad. Trump is just full of it. He's just saying this just to make our city look bad. When time and time again, you look at the actual crime statistics, then it shows that these blue cities are actually less safe than even many third world countries. And for one reason or another, Democrats seem to enjoy the chaos. They literally seem to thrive on anarchy. How do they expect to be taken seriously when they're the first ones talking about, oh, insurrection, January 6th, this or that? But then when you have literal violent crime happening day in and day out in their cities, they turn a blind eye to it, or worse, they actually will arrest the perpetrators of these crimes. But then a liberal activist judge will release them without bail. This is what the left seems to enjoy. This is what they seem to want. This is what they fight for. And now they're literally protesting, having measures put in place to try to make their cities more safe. Even if you are on the left side of the aisle, you should want to be safe. You should want to feel like your children are safe. But the policies that they are advocating for are policies that ultimately are self-defeating. They don't seem to understand that or want to understand that. And honestly, at this point, it feels more like their ignorance is deliberate, that they're being disingenuous, that they know that crime's out of control, but that if they actually fix these problems, then no one ever needs them ever again, because the Democrat Party thrives on that sense of, oh, I need you to need me for something. The minute you take that away, it's the minute they lose all political agency whatsoever. And they know that. So what they have to do is just do the tiniest little bit to make it look like they're trying, when really they just want this to continue. That's what they've wanted for years. Many of our beautiful cities have fallen by the wayside as a result of this intentional failure of leadership. So what are we going to do about it? That really is the million-dollar question. Are we going to continue to allow these Democrats to run roughshod over our communities? In places like Chicago, for example, Mayor Brandon Johnson, he recently announced a program, taxpayer-funded program, I think it's called Healing Arts or something like that, wherein the city is going to pay 200 artists to create murals or paintings or to try to help residents cope with the mental toll that comes with having ICE immigration raids. These people are not serious anymore. In what world is that helpful whatsoever? This is clown world personified, and maybe one day we will have our cities restored to their former glory, but until Democrats are honestly forcibly removed from their positions, they're going to continue to allow this lawlessness. What's really interesting is if you actually take a second to listen to many of the residents of these blue cities, they'll be the first ones to tell you, hey, I actually do feel safer now that we don't have roving bands of criminals roaming the streets. They'll tell you that, and you'll hear that from white individuals, from black individuals, from Hispanic individuals. The list goes on and on. They see the results, and they've been wanting this for a long time, and they do believe in law and order. But effectively, they've been hamstrung by many of their own elected leaders who are more concerned with trying to go after Trump than weed out this violent crime that has become endemic at this point. So if you actually listen to the actual residents, you'll hear a far different story than what you hear from the mainstream media. Because make no mistake, all too often in the left-wing liberal media, what they'll do is they'll try to pretend that, oh, they understand what's going on without having even set foot in many of these cities in years, if not decades, if not ever. They use these cooked crime statistics, because if you actually go up and look, you'll see, I think it was a DC police commander recently was placed on leave or fired, I can't remember, because he was literally falsifying crime data. And this is the same crime data many of these people are citing, saying, oh, Washington, D.C. isn't that bad, isn't that bad, right? And they always will do this, right? The average leftist will pretend that something isn't really that bad until it affects them. Then guess what? They'll fix it real quick. We remember back in 2020 during the riots of the Summer of Love, so many of them were tweeting, oh yes, we support you, oh, we stand with you, from behind the fences of their gated community. But the minute those riots got close enough to them, they started getting real worried and real nervous. We have to stop this, bring in the police, whatever you have to do, keep me safe, right? But they want to continue to allow anarchy to reign across the rest of the country. That's a status quo that's simply untenable and that we need to speak up against. So what's encouraging, though, is that what Trump is doing in DC, he's already said he might have to do in other cities as well, in other liberal strongholds, places like Baltimore, places like Chicago, places like New York. There's so many examples of failed Democrat blue cities that Trump is going to have to actually use the National Guard, possibly, to try to fix. Any logical thinking resident of those cities would actually be grateful for this help and not try to thumb their nose at the face of the one person who time and time again keeps on trying to help them, even though they don't seem to want help themselves. So those are my thoughts, and I'm hopeful you agree.